Hey, all you girls out there, you ready to have a good time? Welcome to the Alley Cat Hour. Here's Kitty.
You know it.
Meow.
Oh, no.
Not anymore.
You're on. You're live.
Hi! And welcome back to another episode of the Alley Cat Hour. Is this thing on? That's funny because I made a joke. I have a fantastic pre-recorded interview this evening with Cheiko, who is one of the directors of the UCLA Extension Writers Program. It is a professional program for all kinds of writing, and I did, in particular, the TV screenplay writing and feature film grad certificates in those programs, and I gotta tell you, it's changed my life. I've written a couple TV shows now that are ready to be developed. I have a short film that I am currently Kickstart funding right now, and we have that video we're going to play in just a second. It is called The Pipeline, and the short film is basically going to go to all the major film festivals once we make it, and then I'm going to use it to pitch it for a feature film, which is usually the process that happens for lower indie films when you first start out. So here we go. We're going to play the Kickstarter video for a film that I wrote called The Pipeline.
Hi, my name is Alexis Iacono. I play Brooke Ann Graziano. I'm a producer on The Pipeline.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Kazepis, and I play Dorothy Iacone. I'm also the writer of the story, and this is The Pipeline.
The Pipeline is a story about mystery, travel, and family. All against the beautiful backdrop of Alaska, New York City, and Los Angeles.
This is a story about two girls and their connection, which centers around the Trans-Alaska Oil Pipeline. Brooke Ann's father dies, and she is left a trust fund tied to a mysterious name.
My character, Brooke Ann, does some sleuthing and tries to find this missing link, a woman by the name of Dorothy. She hops on a plane to LA, and down the rabbit hole she goes.
The Pipeline is a narrative film that also incorporates the Native American tradition of storytelling. We've got Barry Corbin, who plays the strong cowboy type. He has worked with the Coen brothers, and he currently stars on the show Anger Management.
And we have Timothy Quill, wonderful actor who is in all of Sam Raimi's films. He's best known for The Blacksmith and The Army of Darkness.
In the past few years, over 10% of Sundance films have been crowdfunded, and we can't wait to be the next one.
All right, so that was our Kickstarter video for The Pipeline, the short film that I wrote. I'm sure you just heard what it's about and how we're planning to shoot. I'm extremely excited about this one, and our Kickstarter program actually just got to halfway point, and we're about halfway through the funding process. So we have until November 8th. At noon, not any later, not a second later, to fund our entire goal. We were asking for $25,000, and it seems like a huge amount to everybody that I know these days. However, for a short film of this caliber, with the cast that we have involved and all the travel that we are really hoping to do, we're going to go to Alaska, we're going to go to New York and LA. We're going to film on location using locals from each vicinity to help us as our crew and in our cast. So I'm really hoping to use some of the Native Inuits and Native Americans that are so integral to the film plot and integral to our country. Go America. And if you're in Los Angeles or our hemisphere right now, there's actually a partial eclipse going on. Have you seen this, Jason? Yeah, there's a partial eclipse for today. It wasn't very visible to the naked eye. You'd have to be looking directly at the sun, which is a little dangerous. Not good for the retinas. But I did see a tiny bit of it, and it started, I was talking to my mom. She's like, can you see it? And I'm driving to the station here to do our show, and a little darkened corner on the left upper side of the sun was it looked like a chunk was taken out of it. So it was pretty cool. And anyway, back to our show today. I have a fantastic interview with a director of the writers program at UCLA Extension, professional program where professional writers and even beginning writers, if you want to get your feet wet, they have online classes and in-person classes at the campus at UCLA. Your professors are all working professionals that have been or are currently on writing staffs, have been pitching shows and television and feature films. These are amazing professors. It's a godsend that this program was here, or I wouldn't have had some of the opportunities that I've had or gained the confidence to make my own film, which you can see I've attached some name A talent, and I've gotten the interest of some people because I did do that program, and I am very dedicated to it. So without further ado, I'm going to show you the interview that I had with Che Koh. Please listen up and enjoy our first segment. Thank you. Are you hot? Are you hot? It's hot.
I'm so hot right now.
Cheers.
Cheers!
All right. And welcome to the Alley Cat Hour. I'm your host, Kitty. I'm here tonight with my good friend and an extremely important man here in Hollywood, Mr. Che Koh.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
It's quite an introduction.
You're welcome. I didn't have the whole band tonight.
Right.
They were booked.
No, we're taking an intimate style.
Yes.
Just you and me.
Yes. Oh, cheers.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. So, how have you been?
I've been good. Work's been keeping me busy.
Right.
Office.
Okay, so tell me about your day job, quote unquote, and what you're doing these days.
So my day job, I work for UCLA Extension's Writers Program. It's the largest screenwriting, television writing, creative writing program in the country. I'm the coordinator for their screenwriting, their feature film and television writing.
Right.
I advise students, I coordinate the courses, schedule them, just the whole gamut to make that wheel going every day.
When I told somebody who you were, they were like, well, who are you interviewing? I was like, he's like the king of the writers program at UCLA. And they're like, what?
The king, wow.
Well, I mean,
That's a pretty royal statement to say.
I'm the queen of the Alley Cat Hour. You just have to.
Right.
You
Just
own your
having it.
territory.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Again, cheers.
Cheers.
Sounds like we're getting wasted.
Well, we probably are. We are already wasted.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. We're cool
Yeah.
Hollywood folk.
Yes.
It's part of the job.
It is.
Right.
I'm part of being a writer. You get wasted.
I know. I'm
Yes.
so bad at that. I've really got to amp up my drinking.
Yes.
So my writing will take off. That's what
Right.
you're saying.
Right.
So basically, the UCLA Writers Program is a lesson in alcoholism and creativity.
I think they do have a program in an alcoholism extension. I don't know. For those recovering
Right.
writers, I don't know. No, it's been a great experience for me working for the Writers Program. We do so much in terms of staying within the community, doing outreach, being involved with all the different events that go on throughout LA County and city. And we have a lot of professional writers that teach in our program. All our writers who are instructors are professional writers, WGA members, produce writers, and they lend their expertise. They're giving back to the community in that sense. So it's a really great environment to be in. Not only to work with professionals that are experts in their craft, but also they have that mentality of giving back. Teaching a new set of writers what
Right.
they've learned in their journey.
I love it. I'm obviously, for those of you who don't know, I did this program. That's how we met
Right.
to begin with. So thank you so much. I am the proud owner of one certificate in television screenwriting, and I am 2 classes away. Is that right? 2 or 3 classes away
Yeah.
from my film, screenwriters.
Yeah, that's
super
awesome.
kid.
The feature film,
So,
right?
Yeah, the feature film. So I did the television one and finished that, and I still have like 2 more courses, I think, for the feature film, and it's been invaluable.
That's great to hear. Because when I hear that from people, that makes me feel good because, you know, we work so hard to like provide the service for people who want to learn the craft, transition careers, or, you know, just have an outlet, creative outlet, you know, to be able to do that and then get feedback like that from people like, oh, this has really helped me, you know, that's rewarding in itself. So
Absolutely.
thank you for saying that.
I mean, I'm not blowing smoke.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have had the confidence or actually the technical expertise, which is kind of, I've learned both ends of that in those courses. And because you have professional writers teaching most of this, and one was like a lit agent class, and it's just been amazing because I've been here for 10 years. I've got a decade of Hollywood, so basically I'm in preschool as far as my career is concerned
Right.
at this point. It takes a long time, and this really expedited my knowledge of being able to hone my craft and own my creativity instead of relying on others, you know, going to an audition and just playing someone else's role for the writers program. And just, I mean, all the classes I've taken, they teach you how to direct your own career and really put your work into the marketplace.
Yeah, and me personally, like I take courses as well. Being the coordinator, also I'm a writer myself, so I take advantage of
You're
the
an
class.
amazing writer. I've
Thank
read
you.
his writing.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
But what you sort of touched on, what I like about the Rise program a lot is that you can direct your career, you know, and by taking those courses. And it's different from like going to a 4-year university, sort of the more traditional route in terms of film school. You know, I didn't go to film school, but I took film classes when I was going to UCLA. But I found more value in these courses in extension, continuing education, because you can choose a la carte. You can pick classes as you see fit, what you feel like is what you need. And it sort of leapfrogs you in a way. You know, you don't have to do you know, a full program, which you can. I totally believe, you know, getting an MFA or things like that is very helpful, but it's for the individual. Like everybody has a different path, as every writer has a different path. So whether it be going to a formal brick and mortar university or doing these classes in continuing education, you know, all those resources are available, and I have experienced a little bit of both. So they're both great in their own regard. But what I really do like about the continuing education part of it is that, you know, again, you do have the ability to pick and choose what sort of courses you want to take.
Yeah.
You can be very selective, you know.
Absolutely.
And I like the a la carte. You know, I like going to like Whole Foods and you have the a la carte food, and you can just get a variety. It's a smorgasbord. You know, you can try a lot of different things and find the thing that really grabs you the most, and then run with it. You know, it allows you to do like a test run, you know, of things, and feel it out. Because, you know, when you're first starting out, you don't know
what your strengths are.
Right.
I mean, there were a lot of people in there that were like, I just don't know what I'm going to do. And now, one of the girls that I met in a comedy sketch writing class with Margaret Oberman, whom I am just...
she's so lovely. She's great,
I want her to put me in her pocket and take me everywhere with her. And I think I told her that. Might have scared her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's a very funny lady.
All
She's
for
awesome.
For those of you who don't know Margaret, she helmed and wrote the amazing Troop Beverly Hills, which is a fantastic film. Oh my God, go see it, that one. And then she also was one of the first female writers on the writing staff for SNL.
Right.
She did, I mean, when everybody was there. And she's still that funny and that quick, and she does give back. And she works with the Writers Guild as well. And anyway, I met another girl in that class, and quite frankly, between you and I, of all the classes I've ever taken, and I studied opera in Boston and sang in New York, kind of know a little bit of what I'm talking about.
Right.
I've never been more stimulated by the talent in a classroom than that last class with Margaret. It was, the comedy sketch writing was unbelievable, and I hate that Big Brother was not spying on us and recording the entire thing, because these classes were unbelievable.
Yeah, and those sort of classes attract sophisticated people who have various talents and have various experiences. They come into these classes and are facilitated by instructors that have a wealth of knowledge and wealth of experience and are experts in their fields and good at what they do. And and you get sort of the training that's very practical because they're teaching based on their experience and
Working and
currently working, getting paid, doing what they love, and it's infectious, and something to be said, that sort of environment is it's very conducive to creativity.
Yep.
And it works because it's practical.
Yeah, and
you can apply it.
There was so much camaraderie as well. Like nobody was fighting with anybody else, and it was kind of like the, it felt like, I don't know, it felt like the VIP room of Los Angeles as far as I'm concerned, because you got in there and nobody was fighting with you. We were all on the same level. And that equalization led to a couple things for me. I mean, I created some of my best work so far, one of which I'm, filming right now.
Right.
And then another one with a girl named Shanna Duga, who was in that comedy sketch class with Margaret. We're making a comedy web series. And I'm currently writing with her, and we're filming it.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I mean,
and you meet people, like you network with people.
Yeah.
It's a great environment where, you get to meet all people from all walks of life. And they have the same sort of creative inclination like you do.
Right.
And you can collaborate with them, you can meet with them, and you sort of help each other out as you go through that same journey,
Yep.
So it's awesome. And I hear that all the time from students, like they've met people that they become their peers and they work together, and that sort of friendship and professional relationship that you make is really well worth,
Oh yeah, and
dive
that's
into,
the thing. Like what you just said, worth, and I think everything is money with most people, and we're all trying to get jobs in our career fields that we want to and get paid for it. And the classes are competitive, I would say, with any of the classes that I've taken, and with Extension, of course, you can fit it into your schedule if you have a job. When I first started this, I did the Writer's Studio, which was an intensive weekend. I took one day off of work for a 3-day Writer's Intensive, and I did the studio with Phil Collard. And, of course, he got me hooked. He was just so...
Phil has an ability. He's awesome.
Oh,
he's such a charming guy, too.
So charming.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm schwitzing. I'm trying to take a drink. No, so yeah, Phil kind of, in a very warm and sarcastic way, which, who can do that these days?
Not many.
Right? He brought in everyone in the class. I don't think anybody was turned off. Everybody was turned on. Some more than others. No, but with the writing, everybody brought in material and developed it.
Yeah, I remember sitting in and observing your class, and that's how we met. I was like sitting nearby you, and then I think it was during the reception, like I approached you and talked about something you pitched. I was like, oh, that's so great, and it is great still, by the way. And I know you're developing it. That really great pilot idea, and there was that moment. I think everybody sort of you hit on some comedic sort of beat that everybody was like, that is how you open, your pilot. And I remember that, and I was like, wow, like, this sort of environment really brings out the best in people in terms of their writing, and if you're writing comedy, in terms of their comedy, like, and that student experience is a very unique experience, and it's a great way for you, and I'm glad that you did it, because it's a great sort of way for students to, it's almost like a writing retreat. It's like a camp for adults who want to write. It's a grueling experience because it's all day of writing for 4 days straight.
And then you go home at night and you write more.
And you write more. But isn't it weird that, like, after that intense, grueling experience, you feel even more motivated to do more work? It's a sort of a unique type of thing. And again, you also touched on a thing about working professionals, like. Extension courses, they take place online, or they're usually in the evenings from 7 to 10. So it really allows for working professionals to, after they finish their day jobs, to go and have a creative outlet.
Which we all have, unless you happen to be unemployed, which happens to everyone in the entertainment industry.
That happens a lot.
Right?
Yeah, I was unemployed for quite a while before I got into UCLA Extension Writers Program.
And you were still being an active writer, and you still are, correct?
Yes. A beauty of being in the program is I'm always in the mix with other writers and other artists in various areas of film industry. So you can't help, if you're in the environment, you're just motivated to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I've read some of your work, and it's funny because you and I have completely different styles, I would say, as far as strengths and how we've worked. And I remember reading some of your action sequences.
Yeah.
And I was just taken. I was immediately kind of jealous. You know, it's like my go-to.
Really?
I was like, darn it. Nothing that I write is this exciting. Who's going to listen to my stuff when there's this coming up? And I thought about it, and I was just like, I was so entranced. And you know this. I think I gushed on it when we first met and actually got to talk about our writing.
I appreciate you saying that any writer loves compliments. We all do. We all. It's just we're very vain people. We need compliments off the wazoo to feel fulfilled in terms of when we're doing our work. But or alcohol.
Right, yes.
Either or, right?
We're imbibing a little.
Yeah.
But as a writer, I mean, we have to. I think to be a writer and coming from the stage, being on the other side of the camera, being the actress and the singer and the little spotlight queen. I'm very grateful. Thank you for my talents. But having the ability to create those stories, you always second guess yourself. And the thing that I think was almost more important than the technical aspect and learning, how to properly write a log line and properly write, a pilot pitch and properly write, an entire feature screenplay was the confidence that I gained from my ideas. You go out there and most of our lives is all rejection.
Yeah.
As an artist,
right?
I mean,
right.
Maybe you're up in the clouds and you don't have that, but I'd say 90% of it is rejection.
Right.
And then 8% how you process that rejection, and then 2% your talent and what you can give.
Right. I would agree with that math.
Right.
It's pretty much it adds up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then somewhere in that 2% with how you create your product, someone will hit.
Yeah, and it's funny you touch on that sort of the percentages.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to my therapist, and how cliche is that? I'm a writer and I have a therapist, but she really touched on something about creative work, and we're talking about my own writing and stuff like that, and she really touched on like the anxiety aspect. As writers, as artists, we have a massive amount of anxiety because of the self-doubt. It's always. And she said the only way that, you can be successful at what you do is to be able to get through that anxiety. It's how much are you willing to be anxious when you're doing your work? Because that's this common thing that you're always going to face. Whether you're a professional or just starting out, it's the same thing. It's the same feeling you have.
I think people don't realize that.
Right.
I think that's why even when people are successful, if they turn to drugs or alcohol, it's because of the pressure, and half the pressure is what they put on themselves.
Right.
That you're talking about. Guilty.
Yeah. Why do we do this?
We
Why do we
that.
actively encourage anxiety into our life? I mean, it boggles. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. It's just sort of a need to, have to kind of thing,
really
and we're willing to put up with the anxiety just so that we can, fulfill this need inside.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah.
It really it is. It's so. I don't know if the correct vocabulary term would be primitive or primal, but it's that instinctual desire to create and then to put it before someone else and elicit emotion. And
isn't that the greatest feeling when somebody has some sort of response to what you've created? I think it's the best feeling in the world.
It is the best. It's almost as good as when they actually care and want to actually read or see what you're doing anyway.
Right.
Which is the first hurdle.
Yeah.
And
it's tough for a writer because nobody wants to read anything.
It's too
Even
much work.
writers don't want to read anything.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Right.
When I can turn on the TV and
Right.
watch, Wild Alaska or, just shoot.
So whenever, and this is sort of a side note, but if somebody, says they will read your stuff and actually do it, it's such a gift. And you can't take it for granted, Even if they give you bad notes or if they give you feedback, if they say they don't like it, the fact that they read it, because most people won't.
Right.
You should, I think, I'm always appreciative of that.
Absolutely. Those people have a special place in my heart, and especially when you have these classes, I think that people don't understand. They're like, oh, well, it's expensive, or, I don't know, it's not really worth it. I can just, work my way in. And I'm like, okay, try to get these working professionals that are taking time out of their lives, which, by the way, they don't get paid enough as a teacher to make up for the time.
No, and I can say they don't.
Right? I mean, it really is. It really is not not a charity, but this is a community. This is a community that gives back to each other, and the fact that we're able to access these people who have had these amazing careers, have a lot of talent, and they want to nurture and read your work. I remember going to class, and some people would not be prepared or not bring stuff in, and a lot of it was them dealing with their self-doubt and struggling with that. And some of these professors were like, all right, whatever. And they would just kind of start talking to those people about their projects anyway, even though they hadn't done the work. And then, of course, I'm like sitting there thinking, why wouldn't you do the work? This person is willing to read it. You couldn't pay them to read it.
Right.
Sometimes. I mean, a lot of these people will read things and give feedback for money that's like 18,000 times as much as you pay for the class to begin with.
Right. I mean, normally consultations cost a lot of money, and WGA have standards in terms of what you need to pay for a consultation one-on-one, or having a professional just look at your material and give you feedback. I mean, it's
Thousands
really
of dollars.
and I think it's well worth the investment. You're investing in yourself, and you're investing in learning a skill set, and it can be learned. Creativity, of course, that's something that everybody has sort of an innate sort of talent for, and everybody's different in terms of that. But the actual technical aspect, that can be learned and that can be honed, and these programs, these courses really, really help you with that.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm number one believer in those courses because they've done so much for me. And I have to tell you, these working professionals that offer their time as professors, if you take the time to do the work and you offer, creative pieces, these people have stayed in touch with me. And I'm just like, why the hell are they still talking to me?
Because they're great people. I mean, the people that we hire, they're so friendly. They're just good people.
Are you hot? Are you hot? It's hot.
I'm so hot right now.
Everybody, so that's Shaco with the Writers Program at UCLA. We're going to have all the information up there a little later. I wanted to say thank you for listening tonight. I love Che. We're very good friends, and I can't wait to work with him professionally. So I'm hoping that in his spare time, like there's any of that, he'll be able to get some of his projects off the ground, and maybe we can work on those and write together. Speaking of writing, you guys know by now I wrote a short film called The Pipeline. We have a Facebook page. It's www.facebook.com/thepiplinefilm. Just plain and simple. Or you can go to Kickstarter and look for Pipeline, and we're the first one up there. It's just PIPELINE. I'm very excited. We're about halfway through our crowdfunding process. So if you're going to go ahead and support me and support this amazing film, please do so before noon on November 8th. And you will be my new best friend. Plus, there's a chance to be a producer if you want to do that. We have some incentive levels. And if you can go ahead and bear with me, please enjoy once more our Kickstarter video for The Pipeline.
Hi, my name is Alexis Iacono. I play Brooke Ann Graziano. I'm a producer on The Pipeline.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Kazepis, and I play Dorothy Iacone. I'm also the writer of this story, and this is
The Pipeline. The Pipeline is a story about mystery, travel, and family. All against the beautiful backdrop of Alaska, New York City, and Los Angeles.
This is a story about two girls and their connection, which centers around the Trans-Alaska oil pipeline. Brooke Ann's father dies, and she is left a trust fund tied to a mysterious name.
My character, Brooke Ann, does some sleuthing and tries to find this missing link, a woman by the name of Dorothy. She hops on a plane to LA, and down the rabbit hole she goes.
The Pipeline is a narrative film that also incorporates the Native American tradition of storytelling. We've got Barry Corbin, who plays the strong cowboy type. He has worked with the Coen brothers, and he currently stars on the show Anger Management.
And we have Timothy Quill, wonderful actor who is in all of Sam Raimi's films. He's best known for The Blacksmith and The Army of Darkness.
In the past few years, over 10% of Sundance films have been crowdfunded, and we can't wait to be the next one.
All right. So that was our Kickstarter video. You can go to Kickstarter or our Facebook page, and everyone will get credit. I'm huge on collaborating, so even if you pledge and you pledge $1, we're still going to thank you. And this is going to be basically my calling card for all of the major film festivals for the upcoming year. And for those of you who don't know how the indie film industry works, it shows exactly what you're capable of doing in the creative realm as far as point A to point Z on a project. So I have a great, very passionate team. I've had so many friends and family members that are pledging money. I'm so thankful, from Strasburg, Virginia, and Winchester, Virginia, and New York City, and Boston, and Alaska, Alabama, Mississippi, Texas. I mean, people all over from my life are coming in and helping us make this, as well as right here in sunny California. So anyway, guys, we're going to get back to the rest of the interview with Che Ko, a director, a coordinator at the UCLA Extension Writers Program, and it is a professional program for up-and-coming writers as well as professional writers to workshop out all of your ideas, learn the process, and get your shit made. Dang, that's right. So, introducing once again, Che Ko, director for UCLA's Writers Program. Thanks, guys. You want to do something and you're really going to do it. My mom's on the phone. She goes, honey, what do you mean? I'm like, you're going to do it and you're really, she's just like, determined? And I'm like, yes! And she goes, honey, I'm really sorry. I know that's Friday night, but it's not a very big word.
Bear with me. This is my first interview.
You're doing fabulous.
Oh, thanks. What was I going to say? Oh, my God. This champagne is going straight to my head.
Woohoo! Time out.
Yeah, time out.
There you go. More cheers.
Oh, okay.
Yes, go.
Should pause? Yeah. Okay, so one thing you talked about is like these instructors like spending time with you. I think, like, where will you ever get that level of access to Hollywood?
You don't, unless you're born into it.
Right.
Seriously, unless you're born into it, or at a very young age you start working your way up. I mean, I've been in Hollywood almost 10 years, and I'm just now at the point where I am confident enough and I have enough professional esteem,
right,
at a very, 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 very small level, that I can start creating my own product and people will take note.
Right.
And the people that you hire in this program are just unbelievably willing to give their time and their expertise, and they continue to stay in contact with us. It's unbelievable.
That's great. That's great. And something I want to know, and I don't want to just keep tuning, Rise Point, although it's amazing. Extension is a nonprofit. We're self-sustaining.
Is it really?
It is. So it is all about giving back to the community. It's providing the service to LA and the world at large, because now we have a full online program for
fantastic.
Yeah, and so anybody from anywhere can get the same level of access that they could being in LA. I mean, obviously, if you want to be a writer,
right,
eventually you want to make that big jump and move to LA, because that's where the deals are made, and that you have to kind of be here to be a professional writer and be in the mix. But to get a start, to get the training under your belt, to have to be better prepared when you make the leap, it's a great way to to start off with online classes, learn the trade, create some material, And even now, because of, the web and, YouTube generation and all that kind of stuff, like, people can make things in their own neighborhoods, They don't have to be in LA. And Hollywood will take notice if it becomes something that people want to see.
Yeah. I think, I worked at Universal Music Group, and we had a huge discussion about user-generated content. And user-generated content is just anybody sitting at home and, the kid coming home from the dentist still on the drugs, yelling in the backseat of his car, and then putting it, if he'd gone to the dentist website and put it on there, it would have been a user-generated content. And you look at all of the huge Hollywood companies that still create content, and they've started to take notice. And, of course,
huge notice, yeah.
We have American Idol, and we have X Factor and all that kind of stuff. But we also have programs. I think every major studio, network studio, has a writer's program now. They have a facilitator program where you can send in your work, and then, they'll pay you a menial salary.
Right, these fellowships.
Yeah, exactly.
You apply for it. You have to have material in order to appy for it. Hint, hint. Writer's
How do
program
you
will
get-
help you create that material. They look for spec scripts, which are actually... Spec is a term that's kind of used in many definitions in Hollywood, but the way I'm using it and how our program uses it is a spec script of an existing series. So spec script can mean like speculative, like if you're talking about feature films and that's something that you wrote on spec, meaning you're not getting paid, you just wrote it on your own, hope that it will sell. In terms of spec scripts for TV, spec scripts for existing series, those are scripts that you take a favorite show that you watch and try to write an episode of that. It's a great way for TV writers, newbie TV writers, if they want to learn the trade, is to emulate what's already on air.
Right.
And learning the craft, learning the format. And a lot of these fellowships, that's what they want. They want usually 1 or 2 samples of a spec script and then probably an original. But they want to know that you can write in a voice, because a lot of what these fellowships do is they help you. They not only train you and they pair you up with executives and things like that, but it's really to sort of give you a platform so that you can be staffed on a TV show. So it's important that you have those skill sets that you can write in the voice of a particular show that you want to be staffed on.
Exactly. I actually, with my spec scripts that I developed in the program, I have a couple that I started to do outside of the program, but I never finished them. And I think that's a hard thing for a writer. Well, it's a hard thing for anyone that's creative to start something and finish it and say, this is my product, you can read it, or you can hear it, or you can watch it. We're very, there's a self-esteem thing, and then there's the self-doubt thing, and then there's the self-esteem thing again. And then there's actually just finishing something. And this program walks you through those steps. And the spec scripts that I created, I'll tell you, the biggest thing that I think about with the spec scripts is actually in Margaret's class, I started developing a spec script for The Crazy Ones.
Cool.
Which I loved the show, and I loved the rhythm of the speech. And Kelly's a great writer, and of course it's Robin Williams. And I identified with him from a very young age as the, I guess 3/4 of the world. But I identified with his voiceovers and his character references and the fact that he would unabashedly become any character you told him to be. And he would take it from there. And then as I watched The Crazy Ones and I thought about the writing, that man was able to deliver more dialogue in 1 minute than anyone I'd ever seen on screen before, except for that Mattel guy that did those commercials, like a auctioneer.
All right,
that guy
right,
in the 80s. Matchbox cars.
Right.
But Robin Williams was able to do that, and it was really, really fun to watch how much dialogue I could write, because usually people say that a page of script, 1 page, equals 1 minute on the screen.
Right.
That's an average.
Yeah.
Depending on, what you're doing. If you have a lot of descriptors and it's like a visual scene, that could change, and it depends on the delivery of the dialogue, and most actors will slow things down to make their point. And Robin Williams was one of the very few unique actors who could take an amazing amount of dialogue and deliver it at a speed which the human ear is not used to hearing, and we understood him.
Well, that was the brilliance of Robin Williams. You know,
Unbelievable.
he's so quick and
Everything about him.
genius.
And
Yeah.
so when he passed, I was actually working a job with Dick Clark Productions for the Travel Channel show that I was working on, and I sat there and the entire office was buzzing for a second. I'm like, I was deep in something, and I was like, what are they talking about? And they're like, oh, they said Robin Williams died. It's online. And I said, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to listen to that until, it's confirmed.
Right.
And then somebody switched on a television, and CNN came on. And when CNN confirmed it, everyone just dropped everything. They were silent. And I told my mom as I was driving home from work that day, she's on the East Coast, and she had called me, and I had ignored everything, obviously, because I was working and just not thinking about it, and I couldn't handle it when it was confirmed. So I was driving home, and I called my mom back, and I said, hey, Mom. She was like, are you okay? And I was, I try to keep it in perspective, as we all do. But what that man did for the written word and the spoken word and for film and for comedy and for the human race in general,
Right.
I stopped and I was like, Mom, and this may seem selfish or self-involved, but I thought about my spec script and how I wrote words specifically for the rhythm in which he would speak them. And I learned how he talked. And as a writer, to learn that as a staff writer, which is the point of doing the spec script, like
Right.
you said, to learn those characters and those actors so well that you can anticipate how they will deliver certain things, and then to know that they would never, ever be delivered was something I'd never experienced before, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to her, and I lost it only because it was then that I realized how much confidence I have in myself, that in my heart and in my soul when I was writing that, and then afterwards reading it, I really believed it was something that he could have picked up and read. And I realized that if I had not been in this program and worked on that spec script and forced myself to finish the damn thing, that I would not have had that reaction to him passing, and then realized what I might be capable of in the future with other people. And I have to say, it was a unique experience.
I have to agree with you. I mean, everybody, I think, even if majority of people didn't really know Robin Williams in sort of that personal capacity. We all knew him from films and, the creative work that he did,
Right.
his stand-up comedy and all that kind of stuff. And we all felt like he had that ability to be so empathetic, and it almost felt like, even though he was this sort of figure in Hollywood, like he felt like whether it be in film or TV or whatever, like if we felt like we knew him in some respect. And when he passed, it was like we lost a friend kind of thing. Like that sort of feeling came across. And probably more so for you because you were so, entrenched in writing that spec. Like you felt like because as writers, like the characters become part of us, and they live in us. We breathe them. We, think about them constantly. It's almost like having a relationship with someone, but they don't exist in real life,
Right.
And when they go away, it's like it feels like the same sort of loss if like a real person, went away, So I could totally relate to what you're saying about, feeling that sort of just intense emotion, like what could have been, and everything that you just said earlier, and the other thing that, and this sort of segues into another conversation, but finishing something,
Right.
you said that a couple times, and I think that's very important for especially new writers, like is to finish something, even if it's bad. Like my first feature that I wrote I thought it was the most brilliant thing in the world, and it was literally horrific, when I read it. And I remember another person, a friend of mine that I knew, he had read the script and gave me notes, and he was a much more seasoned writer than I was. He went to film school, and he had many more scripts under his belt, and I thought he was going to give me brilliant feedback, like this is amazing, it's going to blow his world. But That wasn't the response I got, and it was actually a really eye-opening experience. Like he said, this was confusing, and but he was good about giving feedback, and there's an art to giving feedback too. He said what I liked. There's things that I liked about this, but I think very constructive criticism. But I think you should put this away for a while and work on something new, and then maybe go back to it. And I at the time I was just like, oh, devastated, because I wanted somebody to have such a great sort of emotional response to it, but I realized I'm just starting out. I can't. A lot of us have these romanticized expectations of.
The Mozart complex.
Yeah, like we're gonna just bang it out perfectly the first get-go, but it doesn't. All creative work doesn't work like that. It's after years and years of practice and refining and testing things out and failing, and learning from your mistakes. And but it's very crucial, I think, for any writer to finish a piece of material. Because you learn and you go through. That's a complete journey. You can't go on a new path with a new story until you finish the journey of the first one, and there have been many cases also myself, like I would abandon things and work on the next thing, and then I just have lots of incomplete journeys, and that doesn't add up to anything, and I think it's important, and I think why taking classes is great. You're in an environment, you have deadlines, you have expectations, you want to deliver. The instructors are spending time to give you feedback, so you're encouraged because you want good feedback to turn it in. Hopefully they give you good feedback, they love it, and they think you're brilliant. That's always awesome feeling. But yeah, it's very important for writers to finish something. It's more important I think it's more important to finish something than to write anything good,
I completely agree.
Because again, it's just like, and this is sort of a analogy that's been used so many times, but writing, the act of writing is just like exercising. You're just building a muscle, and you do it over time. You don't expect to have a 6-pack after one workout if you have a beer belly.
Well, yeah, but that infomercial says
right. But there's no shortcuts, and those exercise machines are just. Those things don't work, And if somebody says, like, if somebody out there in a writing program says, like, take one class and you'll be a professional writer, you're okay. Those are scams, writing for any writer it's a journey, it's a process. Writing itself is a process. That the pursuit of writing is a process. It's never ending, and it can take a long time. Longer than you might anticipate, and you got to be in it for the long haul. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Don't give up.
No, and it sort of goes back to what I said earlier about what I tell people about how do you become successful in Hollywood. Like I get that question a lot I ask students call on all the time for advisement and what do I want to transition into this. What do I do? And if anything that I sort of like to say commonly with people like that first starting out is it's I don't like to sugarcoat how it is, because it's a very difficult thing. Any pursuit is difficult.
And it's long term.
It's long term, and you have to think of it as a long term thing. But it's really how long can you endure? That very next if you give up, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
So. It's one of those things. If you're really passionate about it, if you really want to do it, you just have to stick with it. And the longer you stick with it, the greater chance you're going to have success. It's just a matter of time.
Right. Going back to those numbers.
Right.
It's kind of statistics of how much you're willing to wager as far as your personal life and your career, and the belief that you have in yourself and your products and your characters and your stories.
And you gave the quote about Charlton Heston. Like I also like this other thing. It's sort of like not Toy Story, but it's Pixar's motto.
Yeah.
Is and I'm sort of murdering this, but I went to this thing with Andrew Stanton. He's one of their directors and writers. He one of the sort of part of the what do they call it there in Pixar, like the going off that quote you made about Charlton Heston. Something I heard at a screening for WALL-E, and
amazing,
awesome film, and everybody still talks about this opening sequence. There's no dialogue, just action and visuals, but you get what's going on. Brilliant sequence. But Andrew Stanton, the director and writer of that film, he gave a little Q&A and discussion after the screening, and he said something about sort of the philosophy at Pixar is it's really and I like this. Some people might not like it, but I like this, and it really rung true to me is that failing successfully or failing as fast as possible is something that they do over there. It's important for them because failure is a part of the creative process. It's part of anything that you do. The quicker you learn how to get through failure and to get yourself back up and do what you want to do or what you need to do, it's only going to get you quicker to your goal. And I really liked that sort of mentality, philosophy. It's really rings true to writing, any sort of creative work, but especially to writing because when you're writing, you're gonna fail like miserably a lot.
And you were talking about the editing process and rewriting, and that's I mean, you have to kill. Then when they talk about killing your baby, we're not talking about like a physical abortion. That's a huge hot button subject. We're talking about your ideas and those characters that you form and those situations, and having to revisit them and change them. Yeah,
and it's hard because you form a relationship, and they're an investment of your time, of your mental energy, of all this effort, and this is sort of indicative of Hollywood too. Like when you become a professional writer, it's something you have to be sort of a cold-blooded killer for your own creative work.
Thank you.
Because really you're going to get notes and requirements, for and there could be various reasons for why this happens, and you might not 100% know why sometimes.
Or want to.
Right.
And you have to adjust.
And you have to adjust, and you have to make those cuts, you have to make those edits, and it's part of the job, and you have to know... you have to know how to navigate that, and it's a hard thing to do because to make changes to something you feel like, and there are moments where as writers you're going to have to fight for things, but you have to be very selective of what you fight for,
Because you also have to, at that point, you have to have faith in the project that you're on, the people that are helming that project, the people that are funding that project, and the people that are acting and interpreting and directing your characters and your world. And it is very difficult because, to a certain extent, as a writer, you have to be a creator that is completely ambivalent to change, because you do have to be able to move with that. And that was a beautiful thing about taking some of the classes. It helped direct me to being able to interpret that and accept constructive criticism, and sometimes accept cold-blooded murder, and bury those characters and bury those scenes, and then come up with something new. And
it's hard to abort, isn't it? Like,
oh God, and
it's painful. It's painful to cut those things out, and you have to do it. Yeah, you have to do it all the time. Yep,
absolutely, and over and over. And I think, as far as my career or your career or any career of a writer that is a professional, seasoned professional, or a student that's just starting out, it's a valuable lesson to learn. And as you said, we have to be social. We have to know how to take our art, put it out into the world, take how the world accepts or doesn't accept those characters, and then gracefully handle rejection and rebuild.
Right, and again, going back to the whole collaborative process of the film industry, these people that are working with you, you're not just one person, you're in a team. And I think Nancy does this in the class. She talks about it in the class. It's almost like playing a competitive sport, contact sport or whatnot. Baseball, football, whatever. You're part of a team where you are one person within a group, and you can't win the game just on your own. And she uses that analogy, and it really rings true as a writer. You're part of a process. You're not the be-all, end-all. You might be the originator as a writer, but there are so many more people that become involved as the process goes on. And these people are smart. These people got to where they were for a reason. And whether you think they give a bad note or not, or they make changes to it, all of these people have a stake in what you created, and it's important to be open to that process. It's very important to be open to making changes, unless you're a writer-director, which we see a lot more these days, that have a little more control over their final finished product. But even in those cases, the best directors, the best people who work in the industry, they all always say, like, why whatever their project that they're doing, they're successful because they have smarter people than them working for them, and helping them deliver what they envisioned, and it really rings true. I mean, I see all the good movies, like all the great directors say that, and all the great people who've done work that I am inspired by, work with great people, and it's very important.
Right. I think you bring up a great point, that humility as far as accepting other people's criticism and support is very important. You can't just judge someone based on how you interpret their personality or interpret their past work.
Right.
When you are in a team and you're creating a product, which is what we're doing, we're creating a world, you have to accept their views and you have to kind of interpret and swing with the punches. That's in part of being a writer on a writer's staff, or being a writer that sells a feature script. And then, you know what? Those people, even when you shoot that script and it gets to festival and then it gets picked up by a distributor, that distributor may say, I love it. Here's $10 million, but I'm changing the ending. And as a writer or as a creator, as a director, as a team, you may all be like, no.
Right.
But you have to swing with the punches. You understand that there's a reason that they're asking for that, and then you kind of marry the illusion of creative perfection with the reality of the business and your audience and what they will pay to see and what they will, even if they don't have to pay for it, what they will be engaged in. And it's a very in-depth process, and one I am honored to be part of as far as what I've done and what I want to do. And you?
Yeah, I feel the same way.
There you go. So thank you so much for coming on and talking with me. I really appreciate this.
No problem. I'm happy we got to talk about it, because it's always fun especially when you're with other creative people, especially when you're with people who are in Hollywood or writing or doing any sort of thing that's related to that. It's fun to have those conversations, because you can talk about it and you understand it and you learn, you gain something from it.
It's like intellectual nudity, really.
Yeah.
Being comfortable.
It's a good way to put it.
It's like the locker room of Hollywood. That's what the writer's room is.
Right.
And that's what UCLA does, and the writer's program at Extension. And Che Ko, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being such a great host.
Absolutely. And if people want to get in touch or they want to take classes, what should they do?
We have a great site. They can go to writers with an S, plural, .uclaextension.edu. Again, that's writers.uclaextension.edu. That has all our information about the services we offer, programs we have, classes, all the resources. It's a great site, and we have articles and success stories all the time posted. So it's a great way to see what's going on with our program and UCLA Extension at large. And it's a great resource too if you want to be a writer and you want to get some more information about how to do something. We have resources on that site as well. So check it out. It's a great site and has all our contact info. So you can contact the advisors. We actually pick up the phone, so you can talk to an advisor, just like myself.
That. Yes, you can call, and you can call the Writers Extension, the UCLA Extension program for the Writers program, and Che will answer the phone. You or Jeffrey, usually
for screenwriting. And then we have other advisors for creative writing, online and on-site. And we'd be happy to answer any questions about, if you're just starting out or if you're seasoned. I mean, we have all levels of classes. We get professionals that come and want to take classes because they want to hone their chops. And it's open to all. You have to be 18 or over. That's the only caveat. But as long as you have a desire and you want to do that, then take classes. And it's a great place to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Che.
No problem.
And everybody, thank you for listening in to another episode of the Alley Cat Hour here on Excite Radio. Those of you that have been listening tonight, you can go to my website or facebook.com/the Alley Cat Hour, and you can see all the information for the UCLA Extension Writers Program, and I'll even give you Che's phone number.
And like us on Facebook. We have a Writers Program Facebook page, and we always put up inspirational quotes and things like that. That's really helpful for writers.
Absolutely, keeping motivated.
Yeah.
We'll put that up on the Facebook site as well. Thank you, Che, and we will see you next week. Good night, and thank you for listening to the Alley Cat Hour. Can you make a cat sound?
Is that good?
Thanks, everybody.
We're gonna use them again. They just make bad friends. And we like to treat them like toys. Girls make all the noise. They come, we roll in time, okay, just playing around. And why I can't just find a man is why I waste my time with boys. You know that they're just cheap and broke. Boys still living with their mom at home. Boys they all like to think that they're the ones. Boys all we wanted was a little fun with boys. They come, we roll in time, okay, just playing around. And why I can't just find a man is why I waste my time with boys. Girls to the left and girls with the black hair. Hardly anyone can seem to find a real man. And if you look at me and see you as your black hair, it's a girl's head, don't you dare not live in. Hey, girl, are you with me? Can you hear me? You can't see me. I'm just a wild free. You're just a little fun, but you're not the one. And the boy can't take me. Takes a man to 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 take me.
You're listening to KXSR, Excite Radio Los Angeles.
Listen to the future.